This past weekend in Prague, the 2026 Pokemon Go Prague Regional Championships were held. This was the first streamed tournament since the Tinkaton Calm Day when Tinkaton got access to its incredibly overpowered move, Tinkaton Hammer. So eyes were on Prague to see would Tinkaton claim its first regional since the Calm Day. And well, it did not. In a massive surprise, it was actually Tonton Battus, a trainer from France, who claimed the Prague Regional Championship using a core of Shadow Hydreigon and Aegislash. So in the Tinkaton meta, Aegislash got its first gold. This was the full team that Tonton used to win the tournament. Togekiss, Shadow Bugbite Fortress, Licky, Shadow Quagsire, Shadow Hydreigon, and Aegislash. There had been some controversy about whether Aegislash was good enough to win a tournament, and he put it to rest. The Grand Finals matchup was one for the ages, Tonton Battus versus Boom 20. Boom 20 was a perfect 15 wins and 0 losses coming into this matchup, having previously 3-0'd Tonton Battus in the winners finals. Boom's team consisted of Shadow Quagsire with Mud Bomb over Stone Edge, Licky, Unova Stunfisk, Empoleon, Galarian Corsola, and Togekiss. The battlers lock in for game number 1, and its perfect mirror leads Togekiss into Togekiss. Now, both trainers have Shadow Quagsire behind the Togekiss, but Boom has Broad Licky, whereas Tonton Battus has the Shadow Hydreigon. In the Togekiss mirror, a Psyshock plus an Aura Sphere and the Pex will be enough to secure the knockout, so typically you will see trainers throw the Aura Sphere on the second charge stack to cover for a catch onto a potential Hydreigon, for example. Boom gonna be under-tapping a Psyshock. We don't know who yet wins charge stack priority. It's gonna be a race here, and it's gonna be Boom winning charge stack priority as he goes to the Aura Sphere. Tonton gonna be no shielding. He's going to be losing switch advantage, but this is an opportunity for Shadow Hydreigon. In comes Shadow Hydreigon. Hydreigon gets the full farm down. Boom shaking his head as he knows he's in trouble. He sends in Licky, but this Shadow Hydreigon is so far ahead. Shadow Hydreigon already well over double Brutal Swing. No shield comes out from Boom, but this is going to hurt. Brutal Swing is going to connect. Licky goes for the body slam, but Tonton Battus saves the Hydreigon and catches onto his Quagsire. Quagsire not going to mind the body slam damage whatsoever, and now Boom brings in his own Quagsire. But where this gets tricky for Boom is that Tonton Battus is not in Mud Bomb range on his Quagsire, so he's still going to need 2 charge attacks to secure the knockout. Aqua Tail is going to land. Boom farming up. He knows he cannot pick up a knockout just yet, so he's just going to try and get as many mud shots as possible to hopefully put it into Mud Bomb range. Aqua Tail will force a shield. Boom farms up just shy of 100 energy, going for the Mud Bomb. He needs this charge attack to pick up the KO. Tonton Battus is going to be no shielding. Mud Bomb connects. It does take the knockout, and back in comes the Shadow Hydreigon. But Hydreigon will be shielding up everything as it looks to get as much farm as it possibly can. Timer's up for Boom, but he's going to be staying in. He goes for the Aqua Tail, but loses charge attack priority. Perfect counting from Tonton Battus is going to pressure the final shield away from Boom. Boom still does have the Licky, but now the Licky has no protect shields to hide behind, and it does not have a lot of stored energy. So Boom's gonna have to pivot. He sends in the Licky, but he can't even get close to the body slam. Shadow Hydreigon is just relentless. Brutal Swing lands, Licky falls, back in comes the Quagsire. Quagsire needs an Aqua Tail it is never going to get, and that's a game 1 win for Tonton Battus. Battlers lock in for game 2, and it's a disastrous lead for Boom. Togekiss into Aegislash. Aegislash is frequently run as a sweeper, so a lot of trainers in a show 6-pick-3 format view leading a fairy type as pretty safe because no one leads Aegislash. But Tonton Battus just led Aegislash, and that is a pretty big problem for Boom. Shadow Ball lands onto Aegislash. Tonton Battus sends in Hydreigon. Now Hydreigon can look to start outputting insane damage with Brutal Swings. No shield comes out from Boom. Brutal Swing is going to connect. He farms up to the back-to-back body slams. Tonton Battus is going to be no shielding. This body slam will inflict some pretty significant damage, but he will be able to survive. Hydreigon goes for the charge stack priority time. Boom not going to fall for it, and he will put up a shield as the rollout goes through. Boom looking to pivot out of the matchup, save that energy for later. He sends in the Quagsire looking for a farm down, but he does not get it. Shadow Hydreigon, 1 HP and a dream, barely hanging on, making the Brutal Swing, and that damage is devastating onto the Quagsire. Now Tonton Battus sends in Togekiss. Togekiss unable to get the farm down before Quagsire makes the back-to-back Aqua Tails. These Aqua Tails will not threaten a knockout, but they will do quite a lot of damage onto the Togekiss. Boom's stored energy on that Licky is what he's going to try and use to KO the Aegislash in the endgame. Tonton sends in the Aegislash, snipes down with charging, and Boom, his Togekiss can't really do anything here, so he's going to be forced to send in Licky. Licky has a ton of stored energy, but before it can use it, Gyro Ball launched by the Aegislash is going to pressure away the final shield. Boom, gonna have to try and get through 2 Protect shields on this Aegislash, and he's gonna start off with a Body Slam bait. The Body Slam bait is successful. Tauntaun Battus puts up the shield, and his Aegislash changes back into the shield form. This means Aegislash now going to be very, very bulky. Boom farms up. He's baiting with the Body Slam into the Aegislash, and Tauntaun Battus calls the bait. Oh no, this is triple resisted. That does nothing. Boom shaking his head as he knows he's in a lot of trouble. Tauntaun Battus no shields. This time it's the Shadow Ball, but now we see why he called the bait. The Shadow Ball would not have taken the knockout. Tauntaun Battus just needs to make it to the back-to-back Gyro Balls, and he's going to be winning this game number 2. Boom fires off the Body Slam. The Aegislash is low enough that it will actually have to put up the shield. Aegislash gets to the back-to-back charge attacks, and that is going to be a game win for Tauntaun Battus. The Aegislash simply too strong. Aegislash changes the blade form, takes the knockout with the Gyro Ball. In comes the full health Togekiss, and we know this is picking up the one-hit knockout. Togekiss, unfortunately, will never be surviving. Tauntaun Battus 1 win away from forcing a bracket reset at a second best of 5. The battlers lock in for game number 3, and it's a strong lead for Boom, leading Togekiss into Shadow Hydreigon. Tauntaun Battus has benched his own Togekiss and instead has Shadow Quagsire and Aegislash to back up Hydreigon. Tauntaun putting up an early shield as Boom will go for the Aura Sphere. Tauntaun farming up massive amounts of energy, and he will be full sending the fly. If Boom calls this, he's getting knocked out. Boom thinks about it, he puts up the shield, and he does get the shield call correct. Tauntaun Battus tries for a catch onto Aegislash, he does not get it, and Boom responds with Galarian Corsola. Corsola absolutely has to fear Shadow Ball, but Corsola is able to inflict big super effective damage onto the Aegislash. Tauntaun Battus never going to be shielding the Aegislash when it's in its shield form. That does do quite a lot of damage, but he will be able to survive. Tauntaun Battus can't farm up to the back-to-back, he's going to fire off Shadow Ball, and Boom has to decide, is it worth the shield? Boom says yes, he puts up the shield. Aegislash changing over to the blade form, Shadow Ball is going to be shielded up by Boom. Boom instantly undertaps the Nightshade, and that's going to force Tauntaun Battus to either lose the Aegislash or put up the shield and switch back into shield form. He goes into shield form, there's the pivot into Licky Licky. Tauntaun Battus gonna save all his energy and then catch onto Quagsire. Oh my goodness, the Aegislash is preserved. Shadow Ball would have been deadly there, but Aegislash now has all the energy that it could ever want. Quagsire gonna fire off Aquatail. Aquatail not gonna do much into a very healthy Licky Licky, but what it will do is firmly put it into Gyro Ball range for the Aegislash later in the game. Boom throws 2 rollouts and the Shadow Ball, maximizing as much residual energy as possible before taking the knockout onto the Quagsire. The good news for Boom in this scenario is Boom still has 3 healthy Pokemon, and that's very difficult for Aegislash to get rid of, especially with Aegislash being as low as it is. In comes Aegislash, Aegislash building up to 100 energy, and this Gyro Ball will be taking the knockout. So Tauntaun Battus will be able to knock out 2 of Boom's 3 Pokemon, but Boom still had all 3 Pokemon remaining. So this is going to make life very difficult for Tauntaun Battus. Gyro Ball will take the knockout. What does Boom decide to send in here? Does Boom try and go for a catch? Boom sends in the Corsola, in comes Hydreigon, and Tauntaun Battus went for the fly. He was predicting the snipe attempt from Boom, but Boom stayed on the field. Boom tanks the damage on the Corsola, sends in Togekiss, gets the farm down, and Boom 20, not out of it yet. He's going to be winning game number 3 as Togekiss flips the script and knocks out its hardest counter in Aegislash. But the funny thing is, even with that low of an Aegislash, Boom still needed 2 Aura Spheres from Togekiss to take the knockout. That is how dominant Aegislash is into Togekiss. The battlers lock in for game number 4, and it's shades of game 1 as it's Togekiss versus Togekiss. These battlers have actually both brought back the identical lines that they used in that game number 1 that Tauntaun was able to win. Boom, however, this time knows that he wins Surge Attack priority in the Togekiss mirror, so he fires off the Psyshock instantly and then pivots out, sending in Licky Licky. What makes Aegislash very difficult to play against is you never know if it's in the back. If Aegislash is in the back, then you need to prioritize keeping shields up. But if it's not in the back, then playing to an Aegislash endgame where there's not an Aegislash could put you at a disadvantage because you end up no shielding moves like a super effective Aura Sphere onto Licky Licky. Licky Licky will fire off body slams at Tauntaun's Licky Licky, but Tauntaun at this point is just so far ahead in the match. His Licky Licky able to absorb body slams very comfortably. Boom is easily in a range where body slam will take the knockout, and Tauntaun's going to get very good value out of his Licky Licky, and both Protect shields are still intact, which is very valuable when your final Pokemon is a Shadow Hydreigon. In comes Quagsire for Boom. Instant Shadow Ball comes out from Tauntaun Batuse. No shield from Boom, and that is going to hurt. Shadow Ball lands, Tauntaun pivots, in comes Hydreigon, answered with the Togekiss, but the Togekiss is completely energy dry. And that means that Tauntaun Batuse should be able to absolutely shred this Togekiss with Hydreigon. Hydreigon shields up as Togekiss goes for the Aura Sphere. Hydreigon goes for the Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing is resisted, but the Togekiss has already taken so much damage that even a Brutal Swing would probably come very close to taking the knockout. Tauntaun Batuse, he's not going to risk it. He's going straight for the fly. Boom, no shields, and that's going to be game over for Togekiss. All that's left is the Quagsire in the back, and unfortunately, there's just no stopping Hydreigon. Hydreigon makes the Brutal Swing. Boom, no shields. There is just simply no way out. Tauntaun Batuse takes the first series 3-1. He's forcing a bracket reset at a second best of 5. Battlers get set for the final series of the Prague Regionals, and it's going to be a great lead for Tauntaun Batuse in game number 1 as he leads Aegislash into Empoleon. Instant save switch into Licky from Boom. Licky can do quite well here. Licky over farming, watching for a catch. Tauntaun Batuse takes advantage and fires off Gyro Ball. Gyro Ball won't knock out Licky, but it will inflict devastating damage. Boom is going to put up the shield. Tauntaun Batuse switching over to Blade form, launching that Gyro Ball. He's going to be staying on the field as Boom goes for the Body Slam bait. Tauntaun Batuse calls the bait even in Blade form. You've got to be kidding me. What a sensational call. And to add insult to injury, he catches the Shadow Ball onto his own Licky. Say it ain't so. That sequence was perfection from Tauntaun Batuse. Boom pivots out, sending in Empoleon, but that mid-game sequence may have just sealed his fate. Shadow Ball crashes into the Empoleon. That does way too much damage, and the Licky being outside of Hydro Cannon range means that Boom is going to have to fire off all of this Empoleon energy. And if we've seen anything from Tauntaun Batuse playing, he's very comfortable throwing away a Pokemon if it means he can get an energy advantage on Shadow Hydreigon. So he does just that. Boom takes the knockout with Hydro Cannon, but now it's time. In comes Shadow Hydreigon. Shadow Hydreigon going to put up a shield, get a full farm down, converting shield advantage into a massive energy advantage because this energy will go everywhere against Boom's team. Boom does not have a lot of energy on the Licky either. Huge farm down from Hydreigon. In comes Togekiss. But this situation seems like danger. Hydreigon may make double fly before Togekiss can even make the Aura Sphere. Boom puts up the shield. He has to try and outpace. He makes it to the Aura Sphere, but the catch and sneak, Tauntaun Batuse is inevitable. That Aura Sphere is going to go nowhere into the Aegislash. Boom pivots out and sends back in Licky. But even though Licky has super effective Shadow Ball, it's not going to come close to taking the knockout onto Aegislash. So this is a very easy no shield for Tauntaun Batuse. The Licky is still very healthy. It's outside of Gyro Ball range. Tauntaun Batuse closing in on the double up. He's going to get it, and that is going to spell disaster for Boom. This means that Boom will not be able to land this Shadow Ball because he's going to be losing charge attack priority to Aegislash when it switches over to Blade form. Aegislash launches the Gyro Ball. That connects. There's the charge attack priority tie, and Licky is never going to win that. Gyro Ball takes the knockout. All that's left for Boom is going to be the Togekiss. In comes Togekiss. The game pauses for a moment, and we're back in the action. Togekiss will get the farm down, but Tauntaun Batuse just wanted to get the Psycho Cuts. In comes Hydreigon, going for the fly. This is going to inflict massive damage onto Togekiss. Can Togekiss survive? Fly lands, it survives, but Togekiss gets Dragon Breath down. That's a Game 1 win for Tauntaun Batuse. The Battlers lock in for game number 2, and it's a pretty strong lead for Tauntaun. Shadow Hydreigon into Empoleon. The Togekiss lurking in the back could get aligned with Aegislash, and that would be very, very bad for Boom. Boom fires off Hydro Cannon. Tauntaun Batuse puts up the shield. Tauntaun Batuse just looking to overfarm to a point where Brutal Swing could actually potentially take a knockout. Instant no shield from Boom. He would love to survive this and make another Hydro Cannon. It's going to be very close. Can he get there? No, he cannot. He gets farmed down. And now this Hydreigon is going to be a very big problem. If Boom thinks that it's Aegislash in the back, he cannot shield the Togekiss. He predicts it, and he's going to be no shielding. But Hydreigon's going to make a move. Hydreigon makes the Brutal Swing. Tauntaun Batuse tries for the Aura Sphere catch, but Boom is too patient. Boom going to throw the correct move of Psyshock. Psyshock lands onto Togekiss, and he reveals his final Pokemon in the back is going to be Licky. Before he's able to get the Body Slam, instant Aura Sphere comes out from Tauntaun Batuse, but Tauntaun, still having a ton of energy on that Hydreigon, is going to be to his advantage. Boom gets the farm up to the back-to-back Body Slams, really ramping up the pressure on Tauntaun. Tauntaun will put up the shield, as Tauntaun does have access to the Aura Sphere and will win charge attack priority. He throws on alignment. Boom just going to take the free rollout. Boom would love to try and get a farm down, but Tauntaun Battus has gotten the final shield, and there's nothing he loves more than getting a final shield to set up Aegislash. In comes Aegislash, Licky with all the energy it could ever ask for, but the Licky has taken quite a lot of damage throughout the course of this game. It has gotten closer and closer to Gyro Ball range. Aegislash trying to reach the Gyro Ball, unable to get there. Boom's gonna need a catch if he wants a chance to win this game. Tauntaun Battus will be able to outpace. This is gonna be close. Boom waits the turn. Tauntaun waits the turn as well, and he's gonna land the Gyro Ball on its intended target. Will this be enough to knock out the Licky? He fires off the Gyro Ball, changes into blade form. Gyro Ball is gonna land. Licky survives, but the Psycho Cut after takes the KO. In comes Togekiss. Togekiss gonna try and go for a peck down, but this time it cannot do it. Tauntaun Battus one win away from being crowned regional champion. The battle is locked in for game number 3, and that's exactly what Tauntaun was hoping to see, as he ends up leading Aegislash into Togekiss. Boom safe switches into Licky. He farms up and fires off Shadow Ball. Instant no shield from Tauntaun. He's very comfortable absorbing Shadow Balls on the Aegislash, and now he can look to try and pivot out after firing off the Gyro Ball. Gyro Ball instantly gets a shield from Boom. Tauntaun Battus will be able to exit the matchup now if he wants to, because his Aegislash will be a lot more vulnerable in blade form. Aegislash switches into the blade form. Gyro Ball will get the shield, gonna stay on the field for now. There's the catch attempt onto Licky, but Boom not gonna let a Shadow Ball catch happen, and instead just going to fire off the Body Slam. Body Slam is gonna connect, but an adjustment from Boom. He has actually brought the Unova Stunfisk to the battle. Unova Stunfisk, not an amazing matchup into Hydreigon, but will do pretty well into both the Aegislash and the Licky. Licky lands the Shadow Ball that does do some pretty sizable damage onto that Stunfisk, and Stunfisk now gets the hit back hard with Mud Bomb. Mud Bomb is more expensive this season, but Mud Bomb does get a little bit of extra damage. The second Mud Bomb would miss the knockout, and Boom knows it, so he's not going to throw his energy just yet. Instead, he would rather hold the energy and overfarm to a point where Mud Bomb could actually deliver a knockout. Shadow Ball is going to land. Boom farming up, going for the Mud Bomb here. He's hoping he's done enough Thundershock damage where Mud Bomb will be able to secure the KO. Tauntaun no shields, Mud Bomb takes the knockout, and Licky falls. In comes Hydreigon, instantly answered with a Mud Bomb. Boom's gonna need to try and pivot out of this matchup. He doesn't want to concede farm down to the Hydreigon. He pivots out, he sends in the Togekiss, but unfortunately Togekiss is gonna get shut down by the Aegislash. In comes Aegislash. Aegislash does have quite a lot of HP remaining. It should be able to survive at least 2 more Aura Spheres. Aura Sphere is gonna connect, and the typing on Aegislash is just such a problem. Aegislash getting closer and closer to the back-to-back Gyro Balls. Boom frantically firing off the Aura Spheres. He had to pivot out. He could not let Hydreigon get the energy head start, but in doing so now, he has set up the Aegislash. Aegislash unleashes Gyro Ball, instant no shield from Boom. Togekiss will get knocked out here, but then Boom can send in Licky. Tauntaun only 1 away from a move. Boom sends in Licky. He's gonna go for a catch attempt, but it's a simul switch. Stunfisk into Hydreigon. Hydreigon now has all the energy it could ever need in this game. Boom no shields the first. Tauntaun Battus has a charge stack loaded on the Aegislash. Brutal Swing is gonna connect. He goes for Brutal Swing number 2, and Tauntaun realizes this game is over. Aegislash has a move stored in the back. He has won the Prague Regional Championships. The emotion overcomes him as Hydreigon fires off the Brutal Swing. 3-1, followed by 3-0. Tauntaun Battus is the Prague Regional Champion. In my eyes, this is one of the most impressive tournament runs I have ever seen. Tauntaun Battus faced down a gauntlet, and he was not running what people thought was the strongest. He was running Pokemon that he wanted to use, Pokemon that he believed in. Shadow Hydreigon was on no one's radar. A few people had tried Aegislash in May Day 2, but Aegislash had never meddled before, and he took both Shadow Hydreigon and Aegislash to their first ever regional titles. He was absolutely magnificent with his plays this weekend, and we are all lucky to have witnessed him claim a regional championship. Thank you so much for watching today's video. My name is HomesliceHenry, and this is More Slice Henry, my second channel where I cover content primarily related to the Pokemon Go Championship Series. If you enjoyed watching today's video and content like this, please do leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you guys later this week. This is actually a 2-upload week here on More Slice.